Mathers. This is Mrs. Gwines. I hope you're doing well, and I hope that you enjoyed our math activity yesterday, Wednesday, where we put together a little fun math lib. It's one of my favorite activities to do, and like mazes, we end up doing those pretty frequently. So yesterday, Wednesday, you should have completed the notes that you see here on the screen. If you did not, stop and go back and watch the video from Wednesday and make sure that you complete those notes and the activity before you start this, because this is going to be a little tough if you haven't done that. Okay, so today we're staying with adding and subtracting fractions, but now we're talking about mixed numbers. Okay, so you see 11, 12, 13, 15, 16. We left those blank because we're talking about mixed numbers today. Now, the first thing I want to say, it's a little bit of a rant in that I hate, with a capital H, mixed numbers. I think that they are useless unless you're cooking or measuring something for construction. So I guess they're not really useless, but for math, they're just not helpful from about this grade, Math 7 on. That's because in algebra, you need fractions to look like this guy. Oopsies. Hello. Nope. You need fractions to look like 17 over 9 for algebra and for higher level math. So from here on out, when we say simplify if needed, I want it to be in simplest form as an improper fraction. No more mixed numbers. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at number 11. Number 11 says 2 2/3 plus 6 1/8. All right? Now, we have to be able to change 2 2/3 and 6 1/8 into improper fractions before we even get started. So I'm going to do that over here on the side. I'm going to write 2 2/3. And we're just going to review changing this into an improper fraction means I multiply 2 times 3. I get that answer, and then I add the numerator. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So 2 2/3 is actually 8/3. And I'm going to do the same thing with 6 1/8. So I multiply 6 times 8, and I add the 1. So 6 times 8 is 48, plus 1 is 49. So 6 1/8 is 49/8. Okay? So now, when I write it over here on the side, I'm going to make sure that I write it vertically instead of across. So I've got 8 over 3 plus 49 over 8. So now, all the steps are the same that we talked about yesterday. We need to find a common denominator, create equivalent fractions, and add and simplify if needed. Okay? So the common denominator between 3 and 8 is going to be 24. It's the least common multiple between 3 and 8. To get to 24 from 8, I have to multiply by 3. So I have to multiply 49 by 3. Okay. Now this is where I'm fine with you using a calculator if you need to. 49 times 3 is 147. And then 3 times 8 gives me 24, so I have to multiply 8 times 8, and that's 64. So then I add 64 plus 147. And I get 211 over 24. If I want to check if this can be simplified, if you have one of our calculators, that's fine. If you have a regular calculator, or you can go to our Desmos Scientific Calculator. And I'm going to put in 211 over 24. I'm going to hit enter. Oh, and I'm going to hit the fraction button. 211 over 24 can't be simplified. So now let's take a look at number 12. 5 1/8 minus negative 1 1/20. So the first thing I'm going to do here, I need a LCO. So I'm going to write 5 1/8, change the minus to a plus sign, and the opposite of 1 1/20 is positive 1 1/20. Then I'm going to change them into improper fractions. So 5 times 8 is 40, plus 1 is 41 over 8. 1 times 20 is 20, plus 1 is 21 over 8. Oh, over 20. And now I'm going to write them vertically. So 41 over 8 plus 21 over 20. And I have to find my common denominator, which is 40. Eight times 5 gives me 40, so I have to multiply 41 times 5. That's 205. 20 times 2 is 40, so I have to multiply that by 2, so I get 42. And now I add 205 plus 42, so I get 247 over 40. I don't have to do anything with my signs because I was adding two positive numbers after I LCO'd. And now I'm going to check to see if 247 over 40 can be simplified. Nope, we're good to go. All right, so now on your own, go ahead and give number 13 a try. The video will come back on in a second, and we'll see how you did. So here we are looking at number 13, 12 1/4. Oh, never mind. Wait. All right, so we have 13, which is 12 1/4 minus 5 2/5. The first thing we got to do is LCO. So this actually turns into 12 1/4 plus negative 5 2/5. When I change them into improper fractions, 12 1/4 turns into 49/4. And negative 5 2/5 is negative 27/5. So now I line them up vertically, and I find my common denominator, which is 20. So my fractions then become 245 over 20 and negative 108 over 20. Because they're different signs, I'm actually going to subtract them. I'm just going to set that up over here. And I get 137 over 20. This is going to stay positive because my value with the higher absolute value is 245 over 20. So it is positive, which means our answer is positive. All right, I want you to give 15, 16, 17, and 18. Go ahead and try those on your own. We'll be back on to talk about our answers in a minute. All right, so I know these problems can feel a little overwhelming, but it's okay. We're going to power through, and we just need to know that we only have to understand how to solve these just kind of on the surface. When we move on from here, we're going to have calculators and everything's going to be fine, but we just got to make sure we understand the rules and how they work with fractions. So let's take a look at number 15. We have negative 5 minus 2 1/3. We have to LCO it first, so that becomes negative 5 plus negative 2 1/3. They're right here. And then I have to convert them into improper fractions. A whole number is always a number over 1. So -5 is actually -5 over 1. And 2 1/3, when I multiply 2 times 3 and add 1, I get -7/3. So then I set those up vertically. I find my common denominator, which in this case is 3. And so now I'm adding -15/3 plus -7/3. They're the same sign, so I add them, and I get -22/3. Number 16, we don't need to LCO for because it's an adding problem, so we just go straight into changing them into improper fractions, which is right here. We have 5/4 plus -19/6. When I set them up vertically, I discovered that my common denominator is 24. So if my common denominator is 24, then that means I have to multiply 5/4 by 6/6 and 19/6 by 4/4. So I get 30/24 and 76/24. Now you notice these are different signs, which means I have to subtract them and keep the sign of the number with the higher absolute value. So I do 76 minus 30, which is 46. And that becomes 46/24, and because -3 1/6 or -19/6 has a higher absolute value, the answer is going to be negative. But I have to simplify here. So when I simplify by 2, and my final answer is -23/12. In number 17, we have 3 1/3 plus -1 1/2. Again, it's not a subtraction problem, so we don't have to LCO. So I change 3 1/3 into an improper fraction. So that becomes 10/3. And -1 1/2 turns into -3/2. So I line them up vertically. I find my common denominator, which is 6. So they were here. And when I subtract them, because we've got different signs, 20 minus 9 is 11. And the number with the higher absolute value, 3 1/3, is positive, so my answer is positive 11/6. All right, and admittedly, 18 is a bear of a problem. We've got 18 1/8 minus 4 3/5. So the first thing I have to do, I have to LCO, which is right here, right? And we get 18 1/8 plus -4 3/5. Then I have to change them into an improper fraction. So I have no idea what 18 1/8 is as an improper fraction. So you'll notice I multiplied over here on the side. And we get 144 plus 1 is 145/8. And then 4 3/5 turns into -23/5. So I line them up vertically. That's right here. And my common denominator is 40. Well, then I have a whole other round of multiplication to do, and I have to do 145 times 5 and get 725. And I have to do 23 times 8 and get 184. All of that's done over here, so it's perfectly fine to work them out in some extra space. But because I end up getting different signs here, I have to subtract 725 minus 184, and I get positive 541/40. It can't be simplified. I promise your exit tickets are not going to be that complex with that hard of numbers, so no need to fear. Your exit ticket activity is going to look more like number 14 and number 16. Numbers that you don't have to do a ton of crazy multiplying for. If you have questions, you know where to find me. Send me an email. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Make sure that you are taking these notes and you take time to fill this out so that you are able to use those notes to help you with your exit ticket today.